Okay, we left off on Daf Daled. It's a very important tosis here. A lot to talk about. Daf Daled. The Gemara had said that initially we tried to work out the Mishnah should go like Rameir. Someone says, why did we try to work out the Mishnah should go like Rameir? Because Stam Mishnah Rameir. Because usually the anonymous Mishnah is attributed to Rameir. But we saw it couldn't go according to Rameir, so we tried it should go according to Rebbe Lozer. Why according to Rebbe Lozer? Because we rule, the Gemara uses the term, by Gitten, like Rebbe Lozer, Edi Mesira Karsi. That what gives the document its validity, its viability, it's Edi Mesira, it's the witness who witnessed the transfer of the get. And we saw finally, we're not able to attribute the Mishnah to Rebbe Lozer, we attribute to Rebbe Yehuda. That Rebbe Yehuda is of the opinion, not only does the writing have to be Lishma, even the signing has to be Lishma, right? That was the Gemara. So the Gemara is a little misleading because it says, why do we try to attribute the Mishnah to Rebbe Lozer? Because Rebbe Lozer is of the opinion, Edi Mesira Karsi be Gitten. So it seems to me it's limited to Gitten. Now, let's see Tosus. Very, very interesting Tosus. Kaimla halok Rebbe Lozer be Gitten. We rule like Rebbe Lozer, Edi Mesira by Gitten. So Tosus, Mishum the Meirhoch be Gitten, no Gitten. He says, factually, it's a little misleading. The only reason why the Gemara says we rule like Rebbe Lozer by Gitten, Edi Mesira, is because we're speaking about Gitten. Avol halok kamosa al pishar shtoros. But the truth is, we rule like Rebbe Lozer even by other documents. By monetary documents, because Tosus can discuss that. Let's say you have a deed. If you have a deed just with witnesses signing, but witnesses did not witness the transfer deed from seller to buyer, the property it's not a valid deed. What gives the deed its validity and its viability and its functionality? When the witnesses witness the transfer of the deed from the seller to the buyer or from the gifted to the receiver. Otherwise, it has nothing. So not only do we rule like Rebbe Lozer regarding Gitten, even b'shtoros, by ordinary documents. Now he says something here. He says, although we find many Amoroim, they rule like Rebbe Lozer only by Gitten, not by other documents. He says many Amoroim rule, so they make a differentiation. Gitten, they have to witness the transfer. By other documents, even if they don't witness the transfer, the document's a viable document just by having signatures on it. He says, even though that's the case, Kaimal and Kishmul Bedini. But we rule like Shmuel regarding monetary laws. Right, we say in Shas, there's a principle, Rav and Shmuel, whenever there's an argument, Rav and Shmuel, we rule like Rav by Isser. But monetary issues, we rule like Shmuel. Shmuel rules like, says we rule like Rebbe Lozer unilaterally, whether it's Gitten or whether it's Shtoris, whether it's monetary documents. Because we rule like Shmuel. The Poleg L'Kamon Adarav, U'Komer Apishah Shtoris. Shmuel says that not only do we rule like Rebbe Lozer in regard to Gitten, even by monetary documents. So let's get back to what we discussed. We discussed the other day that if you rule like Rebbe Lozer, not only by Gitten, even by other monetary documents, so there's no such thing as a document which has a signature on it, correct? If you follow Reb Meir, so he holds, what gives the document's viability? The witness who signed on the document. But according to Rebbe Lozer, there's no such thing as witnesses signing on a document. So what gives it its viability? Witnesses witnessing the transfer of the document, whether it's a deed, an acquisition, marriage, divorce, whatever it may be, it's the witnesses witnessing the transfer. So we would ask, we said, the Torah says, Al pi shnai medim yokim davar. Testimony is always oral, never written. So according to Rebbe Lozer, it's true. There's no such thing as written testimony. Because Edi Mesira Karsi. It's always the witness the transfer. But according to Reb Meir, the Reb Meir says there is a concept of shtar. And what gives the shtar its viability? It's the witness that signed on the document. So we say that if it meets the criteria of the document, that's not classified as oral testimony. Oral testimony is if you want to just record what you had witnessed and send it to the court. But if it's within the context of a document, there Reb Meir holds, the Torah says, no, that's viable testimony. That's why? Because it's signed within the context of a shtar. Because that is the what Torah speaks of shtar. The Raisa. According to Rebbe Lozer, there's no such thing. Because Rebbe Lozer, there's no such thing as witness signing on a document. That's Rebbe Gamliel. Rebbe Gamliel says, so that we discussed that. I'm just reviewing a little bit. So what do you have it? So we spoke about it. Okay, But according to Reb Lozer, there's no such thing as witnesses in the document. Okay. Now, according to the other Amoraim, as he says, they only rule like Reb Lozer by Gittin, by monetary documents. They rule like Reb Meir. So they acknowledge there is such a concept of shtar, right? By anything but Gittin, by other situations other than Gittin, there is such a thing as a document, and the Torah says you have witnesses on that document.
Why not get it?
Okay, we'll speak. Why not? That's more late. That's Rav. That's Rav's on the same. But Shmuel says no. Unilaterally, there's no such thing as witnesses in the document, even monetary. And Tosas says we rule like Shmuel, because we rule like Shmuel regarding dinim omnus. Monetary laws, we rule like Shmuel. That's Tosas. Okay.
So Rav is not disagreeing with Shmuel
In Rameh he's not disagreeing. In Reb Lozer, but in Halacha he's disagreeing. How do we rule? Do we rule like Reb Lozer unilaterally by all documents, or only it's limited to Gittin? Rab says it's only Gittin. Other documents rule like Reb Meir. Shmuel says no. We rule whatever it may be. A document has to be witnessed when it's transferred. Otherwise, it has no value. That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Wait, Shmuel holds what? That it has to be witnessed?
Has to be witnessed.
But not signed, though.
Sign. There's no such thing as signing. According to Reb, that's no, not according to Reb Lozer, there's no such thing.
Right.
But how do we rule? Shmuel says we rule like Reb Lozer, not only in regard to Gittin,
So
everything has to be witnessed. The transfer has to be witnessed. So according to, if we rule that way, that means halachically speak, there's no such thing as writing even within the context of a document. Doesn't exist. So if you sign a document, what is that? It's written testimony. The Torah rejects written testimony. It's not valid testimony.
Does Rav hold this way too?
No, Rav argues.
Rav argues.
That's what he says. Even though Rav argues, he says, but we rule like Shmuel. That's what Tosa says. Although Rav argues, we rule like Shmuel.
So Rav is like Rav Meir?
By other documents.
By other documents.
Exactly, by
But-
other
But
documents.
isn't an Isser, Gittin is an Isser, right? And Rav said we hold by Rav by Isser. Shmuel by monetary. So why isn't...
No, but even Rav agrees. Even Rav agrees we rule like Rebbe Losa by Gittin. They're only arguing by monetary documents.
So
They're only so therefore I rule like Shmuel. Because we rule like Shmuel by monetary laws, we rule like Shmuel over Rav. Everybody concurs, Gittin, Rebbe Lozer. There's no argument Rav and Shmuel. Now, Rebbe Lozer's position, what about in regard to monetary documents? That's an argument. Shmuel says, even there, the transfer has to be witnessed. So if that's the case, we rule like Shmuel. Because he's the primary opinion in regard to monetary laws. Even within the context of a document, according to Shmuel. Right? Okay?
But how can one argue about the validity of the transfer? The transfer is essential. If you don't, you can have the best document witnessed and signed, but unless you transfer it, you've got rubbish.
No, it's transferred. The question is, does it have to be transferred in the presence of witnesses? I have a signed deed, and I give the deed, I write it specifically to give to the buyer. And I give it to the buyer. So is it sufficient to transfer a document that's witnessed, that has signature to the buyer? Does he acquire the property? Okay, Rameir says he acquires the property. Shmuel Reb Lozer says he doesn't acquire the property.
But in the case of a get,
Okay.
unless you have a witness transferring, you've got nothing.
But the witness is in the document. I have a viable document which I'm giving her.
Yes, but if you don't give it,
He gave her the get. He gave her the document. With discussion, does that have to be given the presence of witnesses, or it's enough to have witnesses on the document? Is that sufficient? That's our discussion. Okay? Further. I just want to go a little further here. So Tosas, Rabbi, we'll go over here, towards the end of Tosas. It's Od the Rugel Rabbeinu Tam. Lomar. Now this is something interesting. Afilu Rab Meir Boedim Bishas Misir Saget. He says Rabbeinu Tam says the two aspects here. What gives the document its viability, its validity? that it has the power to terminate the relationship, the marriage. It has to be a get. What gives it its status of a get? You have to have witnesses in the document. Because when it says v'kosav, kosav means v'chosam. Right? That's how it interprets the Torah. It means it has to be signed. Rameir. What about when you give the get to the wife, to the woman? It has to be given in the presence of witnesses. Not to give the get its viability. Because we have Prince since the marriage is being terminated, so to give the document, it's empower the document. Torah says the document which is infused with the ability to terminate the marriage, it has to be signed. Otherwise, it's a piece of paper. It has nothing. Now, as you have witnesses on a marriage, so you have to have witnesses on the act of divorce. Why is it an act of divorce? Because you're giving her a divorce document. Why is it a divorce document? Because it's signed. So Rabbeinu Tam says even Reb Meir would concur that the witnesses have to witness the transfer of the document, even according to Reb Meir. This is Rabbeinu Tam. Because we have a principle, anything which has to do with a monetary status, you have to have two witnesses. So if this is the termination of the relationship, they have to witness it being terminated. So what does Reb Meir say? You have to have two witnesses on the document. But that's to create the document, okay? According to Reb Meir, you write a deed. What is a deed? It has to be witnessed. It has to be signed. Because what gives it its viability? The signatures that are written in the document, on the document. But the actual transfer, you have to have witnesses witnessing the transfer of the document from the seller to the buyer. Ve'eno l'rayo emol klum shulakini karka ve'eno l'rayo emol klum l'Reb Lozer im yodua shlo nosim b'fnei edim. Okay, miu, he says yesh l'chalik. Now he wants to maybe differentiate. Maybe Reb Meir would agree that it's enough that you should not have to have witnesses on the transfer by a monetary, by a deed. If you give a deed from the seller to the buyer, it's enough to have witnesses on the document, but no, witnesses don't have to witness the transfer of the document. It's momon. Ein davar shemomon post mishnayim, but it's the same idea. Ein davar shemomon post mishnayim. Monetary, there's nothing. You have to have minimally. You have to have two witnesses. Okay. I mean, how do we know you have to have two witnesses by davar sheberva? You learn it from monetary. Davar mimomon. Okay. He says mi yesh l'chalik. Linyan momon demhan yehudos baldin k'meidim domi. Be'edi chasima b'mokom yehudos baldin. Ava b'kedushin ger shloman yehudos baldin. Now let me explain this. Very interesting. When the seller gives the document which is signed to the buyer, it's clear. How did the buyer? Witnesses will not sign a document for the buyer, right? So who writes the document? The seller. So how did the buyer come in possession of the deed? So it's clear. We could say with absolute certainty the seller gave it, and the seller is not denying he didn't give it to him. So the buyer is in possession of the document because the seller gave it to him. So we could say with certainty. If he gave it to him, well, who is the seller? Let's say the seller would make a declaration, I gifted the property to Ruvain. Is he believed? He's believed. Let's say you have 1,000 witnesses countering his declaration. Means nothing. Because we have a principle, Hodos Baldin K'meidim Dami. Anything which obligates the person who makes the declaration, and it binds him monetarily, his statement has greater credibility